She doesn't even go here.
I'm bi, actually.
Excuse me. Could the ugly, untalented gays please report to the principal's office?
Hi, I'm Kurt Homo, and I'll be auditioning for the role of kicker.
Hello! Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Not So Straight Nerds. I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And today, we are having a dual episode on The Bride and Bridgerton Season 4. Which is very exciting. I almost feel like there's a surprising similarity between the two.
Yeah.
It's like in different fonts, which I think
Absolutely.
is very, very different fonts.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that's very fun. I'm very excited to talk on these today. But before we get too far in,
Vibe check.
oh my gosh, how are the vibes today, Alicia?
You know, I'm kind of exhausted. I'm gonna be real. It's weird. I feel hungover, but I only had one drink last night, so I know that's not it. I feel like I'm just tired because I had a long night. So I went to go see a Marvel orchestra concert for the Infinity Saga, and it was awesome. There were several times. What they do, they play clips on the screen. Like someone will, I don't know, piece together what works for what they're playing. So you watch a lot of scenes throughout all the movies while they're playing the scores from the movies. And there were several times where I forgot that they were playing live because it just sounded like normal. Like it just was like you were watching the clips. It was like 2.5 hours of a really good edit. Really good edit. So,
Rad.
Gotta love that. I loved how kind of informal the audience was. Like, you know, at regular orchestra concerts, usually you don't clap at all until the end of a song. You're watching clips from Endgame, Infinity War. People are gonna clap when Cat picks up the hammer, and it was kind of fun though, because it's we were all still celebrating it. Even though Marvel's in a weird state right now, they're still releasing great stuff, but who knows what the future's gonna look like. So it is nice to celebrate how good it's been leading up to it, and how much a score can make a difference. So
Indeed.
very, very fun. Yeah. And it was very fun seeing Michael B. Jordan up there. Everyone was cheering when he came on, and it was very fun, that there's some overlap with people. He might win an Oscar. I mean, we don't know. He just won the SAG Award, so I thought that was fun. I'm guessing that's why they were cheering, is because he's having a moment right now. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, or he's just awesome. So whatever.
Both are very valid.
Yeah. And everyone clapped when Wanda had her moment with Thanos, as they should. So, thank you.
Love.
The only drawback of it being the Infinity Saga is that they didn't play WandaVision.
Yeah.
I want to
would be
hear that
so
so
fun.
bad. Anyways, it's fine. How was your night? How was
How
y'all's
my
Friday?
night? We were playing a horror game. It was Resident Evil Village.
Ooh.
Which I have some of the Resident Evil games I've seen
Yeah.
the whole game, but this one I've not, and I'm playing it. Unlike Resident Evil Biohazard, which we recently played, and I was watching him play it,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a blast. It had probably one of the most iconic video game characters of that year, which is this really tall, pale white goth lady cannibal with a huge hat.
Okay.
And so the internet was in love with her.
As they should, I guess.
And she's incredible and really scary. 5 times I was trying to go through the door, and then as you open the door, her hat first, she's bending down to walk through, and it's oh, I gotta go the other way.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm vibing. And playing it in the right atmosphere with lights out.
Yeah, and there's storms.
Storms,
and
yeah.
That's kind of epic.
Kind of a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, with that wrapped up, we are going to warn you, we are talking spoilers. So we are going to be talking spoilers
both.
on The Bride and Bridgerton Season 4 and everything that kind of came before it. So if you haven't seen either of these, please feel free to skip to the part that you're here for. Or go watch these things before we start breaking them down. You have been warned.
Ooh, also a disclaimer in case anyone's curious, because I know Hoppers came out this weekend. As we are recording this, we have not seen it yet. We are seeing it after this. So in case anyone's like, why didn't they do a dual video with that? They haven't seen it yet. Sorry, guys. We're very excited. We will talk about it at some point. So just in case anyone's curious.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see Hoppers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, jumping into The Bride, I figured we could kind of set the scene by first kind of ranking through the Frankenstein adaptations that we have seen.
Yeah.
So I have had 10 that I'm counting. And worth noting, audience, we are not including movies that just have a Frankenstein character. So like not Hotel Transylvania, not Van Helsing or anything like that. We're looking for movies that are either about Frankenstein or something Frankenstein adjacent.
Yeah.
Where it's in the line of like a doctor bringing a dead person back to life, yada 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 yada.
Yeah.
Close to counting was Edward Scissorhands. I think there's a decent argument to go either way, I feel. But ultimately I'm not going to. Specifically because I think we don't see a doctor.
I haven't seen that movie
but
in
I enjoy that movie.
10 years. I don't even know. So
Love
I have
you,
no...
Winona Ryder.
Yeah. I would watch it again. Maybe this Halloween season.
So I have 10 on my list. You have 5.
Yeah.
So for each one of yours, I will be revealing 2 of mine.
And I may perhaps not write it down because I have a cat in my arms right now, and it's adorable. And I don't.
In that case, I will not write either.
Okay.
So.
Plus, it's easier for me. I only have 5 to remember. So.
Starting on the bottom of my list, I have the original Frankenweenie short. For those who don't know, Frankenweenie was originally a live-action short film. I had first seen it forever ago, included in, like, I think the Nightmare Before Christmas, like, special features. It's, like, maybe 10 to 15 minutes of that story just with just the dog. And it's cute. It's like super bare bones of that story, so it's like, okay, yeah. that is like the Cliff Notes version of the movie. It is a short film, so it's not trying to do a lot. It's a great concept. And I haven't rewatched it in forever, especially since recently I've been getting super into shorts with, like, the Oscar season. But yeah, I'm super glad they eventually made it into a movie. A full-length movie.
Sure.
And then at number 9, this might be a hot take, I have the original 1939 Frankenstein movie. The original Universal version, at least. I think I saw that there was, like, an even older version of it. But the classic Universal monster, Frankenstein. This was, I think, my second watch of trying to go through all of the original monster movies from Universal, like Dracula, Wolfman, Invisible Man, all that kind of stuff. And I was excited for Frankenstein because, like, Frankenstein is such a staple of horror. Like, you see the tropes be used in a lot of things across genre. And I've never also read the book. I think that's important to also say. I know a lot of people who have notes on certain adaptations claim the book as kind of their evidence of why things don't gel for them. So I don't have that.
I love the book.
So keep that in mind with my opinions. But I was very excited to watch the original one. And of the original monster movies, it was maybe my least favorite.
Dang. I have not watched any of them, so I have no opinion on this or any of the others. But I want to. That seems like a very fun, or at least interesting movie marathon.
Oh,
So
it was so fun.
yeah.
It's like especially like black and white horror.
Mm-hmm.
Such a fun time. But it truly lacked all of the nuance that I know comes from the conversation of Frankenstein, which is like the Frankenstein isn't the monster isn't the creature isn't the monster, Frankenstein is.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that kind of like
That's the
doesn't
opposite.
recognize that at all.
Yeah.
It's just the monster. To be fair, he gets like I think like whipped in one scene by like the Igor assistant.
Mm.
And then he goes, I guess, mad or whatever, and ends up escaping and going on a murderous rampage. Specifically, there's one scene that I've seen people really appreciate that I can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's a scene where Frankenstein finds this little girl by a lake, who's like picking flowers, and he like sits down with her and is like, "Aw, pretty flower," and then he stands up and he throws her in the lake, and then apparently she drowned. And I'm like,
Oh.
you're having really extremes here, which is something to be said for something that's so new.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's also kind of taking such a cynic approach to like the inherently what being a sentient creature is that I don't really gel with it at all. It has some of the classic things I expected, like it has the windmill and the lab. So obviously it's like where most of those staples came from, and I can appreciate those for sure. But overall, it was not what I was expecting. Mostly in it's an aggressive lack of nuance.
Mm-hmm. Okay then. I don't know. I guess that makes sense to me, especially if you're going into it with the lens of expecting nuance. I wonder, now that I know that that's not what happens, I wonder if I'll like it better when I go into it. Because I'll be expecting a monster movie. I don't know. It'll happen one day. I still have to get through my Tom Cruise movie marathon, and then maybe I'll think about some other marathons. So,
Indeed.
anyways. Well, I don't have a cat in my lap anymore, so I guess I'll
Go for
do
it.
my first one. My first one is Poor Things. You know, it actually, I feel like, makes sense that people count this as like a Frankenstein type movie, because I mean, she is dead and then is raised to life through science. But I am one of those, I feel like Poor Things is just very divided, where you either really love it or hate it. I was definitely on the part of hating it. I just don't, I can't fathom not finding this movie offensive. So, I don't want to talk about it a whole lot. I didn't like it. I try not to, like, hate on movies super much, so it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Emma Stone did great. Still think Lily Gladstone should have got the Oscar that year, but whatever. They both had really good performances in what some people would consider bad movies, actually, now that I think about it. So, anyways, go ladies.
At my number 8, I also have Poor Things. I think the making of this movie, like, I think it is a gorgeous movie. Like, it's so vibrant and, like, distinct. It's almost like a Dr. Seuss movie brought to life with a narrative that's, like, still, like, super serious, which I think is really cool. I like the idea of what they're trying to do with this character, and the idea of, like, having a grown woman body experience girlhood through growing up.
Sure.
Like, that's a great idea, and before it gets to a certain point in that progression, I really enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
When it gets to the talk about sex, I think that when you're talking about women's liberation, I think that is a very important subject.
Sure.
And I think that there is a lot of stigma behind that, and I appreciate a film trying to discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that movie should also have your main character have a child's brain. Like, these are two things that can exist and should exist as really great ideas, but the mixing of them I just can't get behind. It's very weird.
Like, they put an infant's consciousness in an adult female's body, you don't get to then go, well, she's allowed to be a sex worker because, or whatever they called it back then. I don't know what they called it. Because she's an adult and has freedom. But her consciousness isn't an adult. It's like you're taking advantage of a baby. So I can't get behind that. I can't get behind that. Great idea, bad execution because you're using a baby's mind.
And then also, I'm going to throw this out here. I love Mark Ruffalo. I think I've loved so much of his work, and I think he's such a great person. I will always, always love Mark Ruffalo. This is easily my least favorite performance of his, by far.
I don't know. I'd have to look at a list from him because I wasn't... Well, he was in that movie a lot. Probably me too. I didn't like him in Mickey 17 either.
I would say... no, I would say he still does so much worse work in Poor Things for me because he never feels like a character. Like, he doesn't even feel like a caricature. He feels like a stage actor almost who, like, is new to theater. And like every line feels like it's like aggressively scripted in a way that no one else is, so it's hard to make it feel purposeful. Yeah. It's very odd.
Well, then I feel like when people were bringing up the fact, they're like, well, when people were bringing up the fact, well, you can't say it's like feminism, but it's a child. Like you're taking advantage of a child. That's not feminism. They're like, well, but then they try to say, well, that's the point. Well, that's the point that she's being taken. No, you can't have both. You can't have both. You can't say it's female empowerment and then in the next breath say, well, but she's being taken advantage of. It's not how it works. So, anyways. Good riddance to that movie.
I'm going to stop there. Number 7, I have The Son of Frankenstein, which is like the third of the original trilogy. Okay. It goes Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Son of Frankenstein. And the Son of Frankenstein is basically the son of the doctor returning back to their home castle, and then randomly stumbling upon the monster. To be fair, I also had to read a summary because watching the 3 back to back kind of blends a little together. But apparently it involves Igor still being there and him like abusing and being the only one that the monster listens to. And then he kind of uses him as a weapon to get back at people who were trying to like hang him for like the crimes of the original Frankenstein film. Right. And then eventually he dies, and then Frankenstein has like a Terminator-esque drop into a pit of acid from the lab. Okay. I would say this is more kind of the Frankenstein film I was expecting from the original. I think it still had a lot of issues. Namely, I remember thinking the Igor actor was not particularly impressive, even though he's kind of like a driving force in the movie. So that was a little odd for me. But yeah, Son of Frankenstein. Sure.
Okay, and here's where it might get a little controversial. Listen, I put Frankenweenie next because I don't.
To be fair, you only have 5.
Yeah. To be fair, I only have 5, and there's a big jump between 5 and 4. But I'm gonna be so honest, I don't remember a lot of Frankenweenie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I've been thinking about how there's kind of like a trilogy where there's, people talk about, you have Frankenweenie, you have, I think, Corpse Bride, they also have a dog, and then obviously Nightmare Before Christmas is the ghost dog. So when I think about it in those two, I love and heavily remember Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't remember much of Frankenweenie, so I'm like, does that mean I didn't like it? Is there a reason I haven't been rewatching it? I don't know. Yeah, so it had to go 4. I'm sorry.
I will say Frankenweenie heavily is influenced by all of the original Universal monster movies. Like all of the other animals that people bring to life are the other like monsters alongside Frankenstein. So that's another thing that I think helps me appreciate it in the rear view. I also
Yeah.
have not seen that film in a while, but I remember adoring it as a kid.
I just don't remember. I'm sorry. Maybe if I rewatch it, I'd have a different opinion, but I just have to go off of what I know right now.
Alright, so my number 6, I have Lisa Frankenstein. You know, this movie wasn't for everyone, but it was for me. I think Catherine Newton in this role was so fun.
Yeah.
Gosh, it was super crazy to see this after seeing her in Quantumania for the first time.
That's crazy. I guess technically I did too, but I
Yeah.
had a longer time in between those two movies, so.
So imagine my surprise to see that, like, oh my gosh. Especially because her casting in Quantumania was kind of under fire because they were getting rid of the previous older actor who only had, like,
And didn't tell her or
yeah,
something
like,
that.
10 seconds in Endgame. And it's like, I maybe understand, but then, like, just find someone to cast in that movie. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're going to make another Ant-Man movie, they're going to stick around.
Yeah.
And then to have seen that movie and be like, Cassie's, like, almost a non-character here. It's very bizarre.
Such a bad movie.
But then seeing her here and then also seeing her in Abigail, like, what
Oh,
a
yeah.
scream queen.
Mm-hmm. And now she's gonna be in Ready or Not
so
2,
excited.
which that looks great.
She does such good in the horror space. But it's so crazy for that to, I don't know, for that to not come across in your movie, I think is insane.
Mm-hmm.
But she kills that movie. I think it's the first movie I've seen Cole Sprouse in at least a long time.
You never watched the Sweet Life on Deck crossover movie, whatever that was?
I said in a long time.
Okay. That's fair.
No, there was also. Did you ever see the Zack and Cody movie where it was like a camp for twins, and they were like trying to meld twins' brains together to make a hive mind? That was probably the last movie I've seen him in.
You movie, it's for me probably the Sweet Life on Deck one crossover thing, and then I've seen a lot of that show, and then I've seen part of Riverdale. It was when
I've
they
seen
started.
a decent chunk of the early seasons.
Yeah, it's when they start getting into like the D&D stuff with the
I think
town.
we've talked about this before, but that's also where I couldn't keep up. I
Yeah.
was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's me too. That's the last movie I've seen.
But this movie is super campy, and I love it. It feels like adjacently Tim Burton, which I think
It's
is really
just
fun.
very fun. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so, and then my next one, I had at number 5, the original Bride of Frankenstein movie. Another thing you should probably know before you go into this one, the Bride of Frankenstein is in this movie for maybe 15 minutes, and that's probably an extra 5 minutes that I'm trying to remember. She is not in this movie almost at all.
I'm not terribly surprised to hear that, unfortunately.
It's very weirdly, she's there at the end. I did like this so much more than the original.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Because this is the one where, because I remember when we were watching Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, I was like, guys, if we see a blind old man here, I unfortunately have to stand. Because this was the movie where he originally meets the old man and lives with him for a long time because he can't see him, and so he's the only person who treats him like a person. And I super loved that. I would say the emotions that I get from the 2025 film, I would say are just as good as the vibes I get from this film. I think this movie adds all of the nuance that I was really looking forward to from the original. Maybe shame on me, but also that's kind of the core of the story you're adapting. And then they bring in the Bride of Frankenstein. She looks great, but then she immediately isn't there anymore. So it's very bizarre. And then she's not in the next one, so very weirdly labeled movie. Like, maybe if it was just a Frankenstein sequel, and then at the end there just happened to be a bride,
Yeah.
there'd be something to be said for that, but,
Mm.
this is needless to say, this is a character who I think deserves a little bit of justice.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Speaking of the bride, that's my next one. I put the bride, the one we just saw. We'll get into it later, I think, but I feel like I left this film really confused about my feelings. I felt very conflicted. It's like aesthetically, I loved it. Just as a movie, how it was put together, it felt very jarring. And then I was watching some other people's videos where they shared their opinions on it, and a lot of them mentioned that this movie went through a lot of reshoots and problems post-production, and I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. That's what I'll say about this movie. However, I still like a lot of this movie, so we'll get into both sides of that later. Yeah.
At my number 4, I also have The Bride. I really enjoyed this movie. I will say it does definitely have its problems. And I think some of them are kind of aggressive problems. Obviously, we're going to dive more into detail, but I actually absolutely love the lead performances, and I love the style, which I think really kind of helps keep me in for the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll talk more on Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride in a second.
Mm-hmm.
At number 3, I have the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Oh my gosh, it took me way too long to watch this film.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, what a queer classic in horror. The songs
I
are
still need to see it.
bops. The
But-
production.
Okay, so I didn't know it, or maybe I don't remember knowing that this was a movie, but I do remember hearing a lot about it and how everyone loves it. But I remember hearing mostly how much people love the live experience of it. So I think even after discovering that there's a movie version of it, I still, like, part of me wants to wait for the live experience because I feel like that's how I want to experience it for the first time. I don't know, but maybe if there's, a couple years go by and there's no opportunity to do that, maybe I'll just give in and watch the movie because I really want to see it. But I just, like, I want to see it live. I love live theater. I'm like, please. So I don't know, because I hear it's so interactive. So I'm like, I want to, even if I don't interact, I want to see other people interact, like whatever ends up happening, however it goes down. So anyways.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, yeah. My next one is Lisa Frankenstein. I also really liked this movie. I wish I saw it in theaters. But I think when it first came out, I was like, I had a big move. I was like adjusting to a new job, something like that. I just didn't get to see it. So in theaters, but I saw it later. Thanks to you, because you were like, you need to see this movie. And it was really good. I'm happy I saw it. And this was also, I think, my second Catherine Newton movie, or Abigail. I don't remember the order of things coming out, but I've seen all 3 of those movies. She was great in this. I really liked Cole Sprouse in this. I liked their chemistry and dynamic.
And on Cole Sprouse, like, it's a very physical performance.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
always give credit to people who can manage to still maintain a character when they
Absolutely.
can't speak.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's just a very campy movie. It's like, some people will underappreciate it, but I think if you go in wanting to have fun, you will have fun. And, it's not like it was trying to be anything other than that, so.
I think the thing that kind of set it at an unfair advantage was going into it, the director was saying it was in the same universe or whatever as Jennifer's Body, which is a very different movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where people are comparing it to that very aggressively.
Yeah, you can't easily compare something to Jennifer's Body. There's, that's a cult classic. Anyways. Okay,
Alrighty, so that's my top 2 now.
yeah.
So at number 2, I have Walt Disney's Frankenweenie. Yeah, because it wasn't Pixar. Well, so Walt Disney's Frankenweenie. I so love that stop motion animation style, and here in this movie, it's like the most Tim Burton-y that like characters have gotten. I also loved Animals and Monsters. And then seeing the animals become these iconic or like references to these comic, like huge icons in horror, I thought was so fun. Like you have sea monkeys turn into the gremlins. You have a hamster turn into the mummy. The cat turns into Dracula. And all kinds of stuff like that. On top of, I think, a really well adapted kind of kid story approach to Frankenstein. And then you have all of the characters being adjacent to characters from the original film, which is so fun. You have the iconic windmill at the very end. You have the Bride of Frankenstein even more than the original movie did.
That's bizarre.
Crazy that this movie does that story better than the original. And it's like the subplottiest of subplots. I love the black and white. The animation's so fun. It's just a blast.
Fair. Maybe I'll just rewatch that. Rewatch that and Edward Scissorhands.
No, also, crazy story time. In college, I had a friend who literally, whenever she wanted to cry on command, we would just have her explain the plot of Frankenweenie. And she would, like, legitimately start crying because she's like, and he didn't even want to go to baseball, but his parents made him, and he brought his dog.
I know who this.
Oh
I
my
feel like I know who
gosh.
this is, and I've witnessed this before.
It is so entertaining to watch her do that to herself. Okay. And then my number 1 is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein of 2025. I think this movie is like easily of these all the most cinematic. I think it adds so much depth to the character of the monster. I think the production design is almost unparalleled. And I think the script is just so well done.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
what a moment Frankenstein is. And you just recently looked at it when I was kind of preparing for our future Oscars episode. But Jacob Elordi is up there with Leo and Timothy Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan. He's been nominated for every lead actor category. Supporting actor. Yes. Yeah, he's been nominated out the wazoo for this role, which I did not see coming.
But very happy about.
It is, I think, a great performance. I think easily his best.
This has been a great year for horror, and they're nominating and awarding horror performances with Jacob Elordi, Amy Madigan for Weapons, Michael B. Jordan, anyone from Sinners. There's several people that have won, and that's a horror movie. So like, this is awesome. If this is what it takes for like, did the substance just really open the doors, and then this just like crashed it open? Because I don't know. That's kind of awesome. I've been waiting for it to happen because it's been overdue.
Long overdue.
I'm waiting for them to finally have their moment with animation too.
Indeed. Clock that.
So let's get like not just one, but maybe 2 or 3 nominated in Best Picture.
Easily. That's
my hot take. If you have the right year.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else to add to GDT's Frankenstein?
No. I'm pretty sure we have a whole episode on that.
We do. You can watch that right now.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Before we move on, hey audience, please, what are your favorite adaptations of Frankenstein? Let us know in the comments below, and if we missed any of your favorites, let us know. We'd love to watch more of it. So cutting back to our outline, focusing on The Bride. So I admittedly was so psyched for The Bride.
Mm-hmm.
I can see myself even still maintaining some rose-tinted glasses on it.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I would say maybe when it gets on streaming and I give it a rewatch, I could see that kind of fading for me. However, gosh, if this movie was not still such a, like, vibe the entire time for me.
It was very, like, it's kind of like, I was thinking about what people say about Emerald Fennell, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
With, like, Saltburn and just recently Wuthering Heights. Some people say, you know, say what you want about the writing of her movies, but the aesthetic and the visuals are always there. And, well, I haven't seen Wuthering Heights, but at least with Saltburn, I liked Saltburn. But yeah, I think even you can't deny, like, she's got a vibe that she goes with, and I think with certain projects it really works. I would say the same with this movie. If, you know, say what you want about the writing or maybe the editing and how they constructed the movie, but like it really was I almost want to call it like a font. Like it was just very fun, I guess. I don't know how to.
Well, it's owning so much to those classic horror movies.
Yes.
And like it feels like you're watching that throughout, even though so many different things, and I would say clashing things to that are happening.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. It's a Frankenstein movie. I think having so many different things clash together to make one cohesive thing is almost poetic. I will say, unfortunately, cutting to, I think, one of the biggest problems of this movie is that it has so much going on and not enough room to kind of breathe in those ideas.
The pacing, personally, I don't know. I can't really understand. I saw somebody when I was going through people's opinions of it say that they really felt the runtime. I feel like I couldn't, like, it, if anything, had the opposite problem. Like, I couldn't keep up. And at times, that was my problem with Wicked for Good, is that it's like, we're over here, and we're over here, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and all this is happening, and we're not really going to go too deep on any of this because we have so much to cover. That kind of felt like this movie to me. It was like they're doing so many things. I don't know. I feel like the second the detectives came in, I started to feel like, oh, like I didn't want them there. I would say,
because I think when the movie focuses on the bride and Frank, I think that whole plot line is very straightforward, and I don't think that jumps around really at all, other than like, we're going around the world, and then he cuts to the detectives being like, oh my gosh, where are they going next? Cut back to them, yay, we're still going around the world. But I do think the problem comes from all of the stuff that isn't with our main two characters. Like the whole plot line with the detectives, I think that maybe got I think that got too much screen time. And I think it really takes away from the real powerhouses. And then also, I think they had such an interesting idea happening with the bride kind of starting this, like, female empowerment uprising in the streets. And I so love that idea, especially with what they were doing with, like, the ghost of Mary Shelley almost, like, forcing this story to life. And acting like almost like a god to this universe. I think that was such a great idea, especially in the timing of when this movie is happening, because, you know, Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. That story never had a bride. So early on it talks about, like, I had so many other stories. This was a story I couldn't write in my time, so I'm writing it now. And it's set in the time where The Bride of Frankenstein would have been filmed, which I think is so great. The black and white aesthetic is so like when they're in New York.
No, I also saw someone, the same person who felt the runtime, also said she hated the fourth wall breaks. I totally disagree. I totally dug every single time we cut to Mary Shelley. I was like, this is like low-key my favorite part of the movie, is getting to see her. That was a very fun aesthetic to me. Yeah, I don't know.
I absolutely adored that. But and then also there was a point when you're meeting with, like, the main, like, the gangster or whatever who's doing all of these crimes against women, and he shoots that character. I don't know who that was, but I thought it was the male detective. And then I see him pop up another scene, and I'm like, huh?
No, and whatever happened to him? I was thinking that at the end of the movie. I'm like...
To who?
To the mobster guy.
Oh, the girl's tattooed his tongue.
Oh, you're so right. Okay, that just came later than what I thought it was going to. For some reason in my mind, when... I guess since we're in spoiler territory, when they seemingly killed the bride, I was like, oh, so we're not gonna get justice for the mobster. I forgot about
And that's
the
another
other
thing.
ladies did.
I think it also has, I don't know how purposeful, but an interesting look at kind of the unexpected influence that strong women have on other women. And even just, like, people on people, but an emphasis on women encouraging other women to step up.
Yeah.
That, you know, justice ultimately comes for her from people who don't know her. Like, she's not involved in that vengeance, but, like, the idea of her being this bold, out there woman and, like, an unapologetically out there personality, which is so taboo for that time, that being what kind of leads this revolution to, like, protect women when the system won't. I think, especially right now, that's a very important conversation to be had. I wish in this film it did feel more centered.
Yeah.
Because it almost feels like this is the whole reason Mary Shelley is picking this moment and this person to tell this story, like, for this to be happening. So it feels weird that it feels so to the offside. I think it's so interesting every time we see it. I just think it, like, at least half of the detective scene should have been, like, this happening.
Yeah. I totally agree. I have problems with films that feature, like, a lot of harassment and assault and then don't really care to explore, like, deeply the other side of that, the effects of that, why that happens, trying to fight back from that. There are a lot of movies that do it really well. I think of, like, Room that does it really well with Brie Larson. Even The Woman King with Viola Davis has a scene like that, but I think the movie's well done and it does a good job at not, like, having that be the focus. This one, I got frustrated. I think by the time that she was, like, pulled over and then assaulted, I'm like, it feels like half this movie is her being assaulted, and what are we doing and what are we saying about that? Like, I don't want to watch a movie that's just that, and I was getting frustrated that I felt like it was almost useless that we were watching that. So I think maybe that could have also been solved by just featuring the women more, and the detectives less. Because also there is a female detective, but she's also doesn't get a lot of depth either. So it's like, why is she here? She's not getting, I don't want her here. She's not going to get depth. I want to feature some women if that means they can all get depth rather than everybody. At a certain
And,
point,
like,
it
if
gets
you're not
too
giving
much.
your character depth, then they should at least be giving depth to the idea you're exploring.
Yeah.
I think is, like, pick one or the other.
I agree. There's just too much going on. Not enough depth, I think. Overall.
But I would say there's depth between the bride and Frank. I think
agree.
they explored
Yeah.
like that so well.
Yeah.
And I do think a reason it helps is, like, that's what I came in for. And looking at that relationship, it actually really reminds me, I recently watched the movie Passengers.
Right.
Have you seen that?
With Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence.
Yes.
Yes.
And
It's been a while since I saw that in theaters, not since. So.
And it's actually very adjacent to that. The idea of, like, a man making a woman go through this decision to kind of be alone with them, without giving them a choice. So I do think that's very fascinating. and then the movie, the route passengers took to explore that, was aggressively not for, I think, most of audiences.
Because you don't get to turn that into a rom-com. I think The Bride, for most of that storyline, was going really well. I don't really like how they ended it. It seemed way too much. Like, I get wanting to save him, because even if you're mad at him and don't want to be with him, like, you still want him to be okay. But I think towards the end it was giving a little too much of, I still want to be with you. But then she was also like, I want to be called the bride. I'm like, what is it? Do you want to be with him? Because you shouldn't want to be with him, because that's horrible. I don't know. Or do you want your independence? I couldn't really figure out what they were wanting to
Having
end
Frankenstein get shot in the head there, one, how the hell did the police get here? And how did they get here so quietly? How did they know exactly where they were right now?
Yeah.
Very bizarre for me. I feel like there was a lot more to that scene to be had.
I agree. I feel like maybe that was fumbled by reshoots. It felt like that was one of the more sloppy scenes. For sure.
This film to me feels like, and I guess with what you're saying that's not the case, but it almost feels like the parts that I don't like were kind of edited weird. So like it feels like they were meant to be longer. Like it feels like there was so much more involved with like the female like movement that's being led, and it feels like we just got like snippets of that.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
I agree.
Going back to this, we've actually just been kind of
Bring it back and forth.
So, focusing on best parts. What are some of the best parts of this movie for you?
Like I said, the aesthetic, I think the costumes were great, the hair and makeup. I loved that the bride or whatever, she's Ida at first. Her hair's already crazy, but it definitely gets crazier, and like it does have a change when she is brought back to life.
Like fried.
Yes. But it's also like crimped, and I love that. And then obviously I still love the makeup choice with the black like on her cheek.
And then like to see like it's a little all over her body.
Yeah.
And like specifically on her fingers, like of like the finger gun. I'm like,
I loved that.
Ugh.
And then gosh, I liked Frankenstein's appearance. I feel like it was a good mix of being like original but still definitely pieced together.
And
like
an ode to like its own thing, but still such an ode to the original.
Absolutely.
Can we also talk about how beautiful I think focusing on the importance and value of movies was here?
Yeah.
I loved that Frankenstein was such a movie buff.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Mm-hmm. Although it was interesting, I also wish they had talked about more after they had met that actor and found out he was kind of a jerk. At least to Frankenstein. Maybe he's not, but he's, just like everybody else where he's scared of him and thinks he's gross. Then they still went on the road trip to see more of the places they filmed. That was interesting to me. I was like, are we not mad at him for being a jerk? Are we? But then we're doing it anyways. I wish they maybe at least like said something about that. You know what I mean? Like you meet him and he's a jerk, but you're still gonna continue going on that road trip. I just want to know why. I think it's fine. Like if you're like, we're already doing this road trip, I want to finish it. It's for me, not for him. Great. But then I want that to be said. Because then otherwise it's like, do you even realize he was a jerk to you? Like, that's where I'm confused now.
It feels like a weird in-between, where it feels like he wasn't, like, blasphemously rude.
Yeah.
But then you still had Frankenstein react to it negatively. So,
yeah.
The question of impact there, I do agree, is odd.
That says to me that you do realize he was being rude. But then it's like, well, then I want to know why you're still on the road trip. Anyway, that's a little nitpicky, but Anyways, and we're in best parts. Best parts, that whole sequence, that scene where they were at the fancy, like, what event.
Ooh.
Love.
How do you feel about the random dance number that kind of broke out?
I thought it was fun.
Which also had Julianne Hughes from Dancing with the Stars, apparently.
Really? That's fun. Or Huff. Julianne
sorry.
Huff. And that's cool. I might have to see if somebody can find her and have a picture of her. I liked that. I feel like I liked a lot of what we saw in the trailers. I've mentioned a lot of that.
I also really loved every time they were seeing themselves on the screen.
I liked
always was really cool for me.
Any movie scene. I liked any movie scene, really.
I feel like I can't wait for so many edits from this year to be Frankenstein. Come on, let's go to the movies. We're gonna find him at the movies. Or like, because they say that quite a couple times, but every time I'm like, Your Honor, I'm already here.
Also, I know it was like so obviously funny, but I did love the joke where they're like, everyone's running and screaming. I think we should go that way.
No, that was such a great moment.
It's such like they're about to say this, but it's still funny. So it's like it's one of those you have to say it. It's so yeah. I liked the detectives' dynamics. I just feel like there was too much. I wished that was explored more. I wished the female empowerment movement was explored more. So maybe you needed to pick between the two, and I would definitely pick the female empowerment movement. But yeah, they seemed fun. I just wish we got more of them. It felt like a lot was missing. So,
I also would like to throw in like the queer nightclub that they went to. Super loved that. The idea of like fitting in with like the freaks of the time, especially for like the 1930 20-esque. Like having unclear, but either someone trans or someone in drag add her like her,
the eyebrows,
which are also very much an ode to the original.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Love where they kind of find an opportunity to kind of be out there and be themselves. Hate that that's kind of the scene that leads into that assault scene on the street. But for me, it doesn't take away from how beautiful In the Club is.
Yes.
Because In the Club...
We all fam, right? Oh my god, that reminds me. Okay, so we walk into the theater, and there was only one other person that had bought a ticket. But I don't think any of us saw that they were in there yet, so we probably all assumed that they weren't there yet. And Luke goes, like, pretty loud, like anyone who was in there could hear it. In the club, we all fam.
I can't even remember what led me to say
I
that.
don't know. And then we passed by the one guy that bought the ticket. It was so funny.
Wild.
That guy was probably like, "Oh, great." They probably thought we were gonna be annoying. Like, no, I promise. We go to movies all the time. We're not gonna be annoying.
Moving on. I think we talked a lot about worst parts. Anything else to add?
Nope.
Ooh, also, I want to shout out Annette Bening, who I simply love in everything. And I think her being the doctor here was really fun.
The doctor was great. Yeah, her design was great. The, like, maid that also has the black stuff on her face, that was cool. I was like, yeah, I liked them.
I enjoyed them a lot. I will always love me some Annette Bening.
Yeah.
Frankenstein adaptations, we talked about a lot of those. I want to talk about Jessie Buckley, our most likely next Oscar winner.
Yes.
Have you heard the blasphemous news?
Oh, that she doesn't like cats?
How are we holding up?
I don't care. I'm of the opinion, obviously I like cats. I have cats. People are allowed to not like cats. I think a lot of the time it's because they don't like the fact that cats don't just love them immediately for existing like dogs do. Dogs are a lot easier for people who want affectionate pets. So it's just different, and I understand and respect that. I respect it more if people, because some people are like misogynistic about it. I think obviously not you. You joke about my cats, but no, it's not that way. But like, I'm thinking of certain people in my head that I won't say out loud, that are just like, because cats are typically associated more with girls. So sometimes people can just be like, cats are gross, blah, 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 blah. But I respect people who can admit they're just like, I just want to come home to a pet that immediately loves me. And I'm like, I respect that. Cats, sometimes, like this one, yes. This one would do that. My other cat, not so much. She's like, hey, and goes away. Yeah. I'm like, I respect that. I don't know what she said about cats.
Well, because the main thing I see people talking about was in a previous relationship, she gave someone an ultimatum, where it's like, either you rehome the cat or I'm gonna leave. Which is like,
bye.
I mean, fair enough.
Fair enough. I like, if you don't like cats, then don't be with that person. So, whatever. You don't have to like cats. It's all right. And a lot of people are allergic.
But also, I think that is of all of the people who have been nominated for Oscars,
Sean Penn.
What an insane line to draw. Especially
stupid.
In 2026 America.
This same year, Sean Penn is probably going to get the Oscar for supporting actor. Maybe not. He's not near as much of a lock, but...
A lockjaw?
Yeah. But, like, guys, what are we doing? And then Timothée Chalamet decides to run his mouth the other day.
Oh my gosh.
You saw that?
It's a good thing I think Academy Awards closed already, but, like...
Wow,
dude,
what
if
a
you
way
don't
to
get it this
butcher.
time, you are going to have to do so much to make up for that.
What a stupid thing to say for someone who's had a great press run or campaign, whatever you want to say. What a stupid thing to say, and what kind of a gross thing to say. I'm disappointed. I love Timothée Chalamet, and I think he's a great actor and has a lot of great performances, and he's overdue for credit on that.
For those who don't know,
yes. He was talking to Matthew McConaughey and was basically laughing at the idea of people still going to and enjoying things like ballet, live theater, opera, which is interesting because then somebody pointed out that a lot of women in his family are closely connected to ballet. Like, they went to ballet school, they did that's extra gross. But also, it's what you don't have to like live theater, opera, ballet, whatever. I think it's a little crazy to not like live theater when you're an actor, because that's a lot of where people have their roots from. But whatever. You don't have to like it. But to be in this industry and say that out loud and make fun of it, those are like extra levels that are just gross. You don't have to like it, but I would personally say, don't talk about that. Don't mention that. You should still respect it. That's crazy. It's like,
to be any kind of creative right now and to disrespect an entire like field is insane.
I'm like, that's just bizarre to me. You realize all three of those things have been around a lot longer than Hollywood and movies.
And it also gives such an idea, like, he doesn't really hear the conversations that are happening right now, because he, like, specifically says, like, I'm not super into these things that, like, people have to be into before they're gonna, like, disappear or something like that. And it's, like, overlooking the fact that movies have not been in a great place for, like, almost half a decade now. Like, it's movies crazy. Could, like, add a couple, like, 10 years to it. Movies could easily be where, like, ballet and opera is, if not handled correctly.
Yeah. And to point out that ballet is still around despite the tickets being much more expensive to that than movie theaters. So I think there's something to be said about that. That all three of those things that he named are less accessible, but still successful and still alive and running. versus movie theaters are a lot cheaper to go to, a lot less commitment, and they're still struggling. So, just saying about that. Yeah, that's crazy to shoot yourself in the foot like that. So glad you brought that up. I really wanted to talk about that.
I didn't really want to talk about that. I didn't think we were going to talk about it today. But,
No,
circling
okay.
us back, we originally were talking on Jessie Buckley. We both loved Hamnet.
Yes.
And particularly, I really loved Agnes, Jessie Buckley's character.
Mm-hmm. And I've also seen her in Women Talking, which is a great film. So she's great in that. You would like that film. But then she's also, is there something else I'm missing, or is that kind of her main thing?
I haven't seen a ton of her stuff. Something interesting to note, though, Maggie Gyllenhaal, the director, had cast her in her first movie with Olivia Colman.
The Lost Daughter,
Yes.
yes. And then Dakota Johnson. I've seen that because I was on a little bit of a Dakota Johnson run for a while. That's a good film
Fascinating.
as well. I like
to watch
it.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think The Bride, her performance is obviously, I think, much more controversial in whether or not it's a good performance or not.
Yeah.
Personally, it's obviously no Agnes,
Mm-hmm.
but I still really love her performance of this like loud and out there woman,
Mm-hmm.
an unapologetic woman. What do you think would be next for her? I think she's still, argue all you want, I think she's still very much a shoo-in to get the Oscar and have a sweep.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you would like to see her in next? I think she's really good at elevating the things that she's been in so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if she wasn't already, she is probably a huge get for an actor, director right now.
Yeah. I wonder if she can sing. I would love to see her in some sort of musical or something that she could sing in, where she could still be very like fun and flashy, that she's very capable of doing. But if she can sing, I would love to see her in that. Otherwise, I really don't care where she pops up next. I just want her to keep popping up. Like, I know Cillian Murphy mentioned her. That would be a fun pairing. So he's like,
and you know what? I think she would do great in a 28 Years Later.
yeah, some sort of like dystopian or horror film would be fun.
Something dystopian would be really cool for her.
Yeah.
I think she could also continue doing some elevated horror.
Yeah.
I think there's some great roles that I would love to see her in.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would say that she kind of gives me the vibes of the Black Swan, Natalie Portman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they can kind of fill similar roles.
Yeah. She would be fun in Star Wars. And I'm thinking of Star Wars.
I was thinking kind of a sci-fi. It's something we haven't seen from her yet, but I'd be very interested to see how she adapts into something sci-fi.
All three of the movies, too, that we've discussed about her are very serious. So I'd be interested if she could do something like a comedy or a romance. That would be fun. We know she can have chemistry, so there's the romance pipeline.
And I don't know. Her delivery as the bride, like especially when she's like frantic, I adored it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd love to see how that translates into like a traditional quote unquote comedy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gosh, I think I feel like anything that she signs up for, I'm like,
yeah, she's
that's
so
gonna be
like,
a better project now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am glad that mostly from what I've seen, people that are not dumb and just hate peaches or whatever, and they're like, oh my god, she's not gonna win the Oscar now because of The Bride. That's so stupid. People who have common sense are like, even if I didn't like the movie, she was great. And I'm like, thanks, because she was. Absolutely. And so was Christian Bale. I thought he did a good job too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Christian Bale, I've not always been. That's the wrong way to approach this. Some of your most beloved roles have not been my favorite, but you're a very talented actor, and you ate this role.
yeah. Okay.
Alrighty.
I also like because he was the guy in American Psycho, and they're talking about remaking that, and he basically the other day said, "Good luck to them," and I'm like, "You earned that statement," because, yeah, that's crazy. It's like such a, why are you remaking this, and also good luck remaking it, and I think that's valid, and I think that needs to be said more. And they're talking about doing Dirty Dancing again without Patrick Swayze because he's not alive anymore. I'm like, you're crazy. I think more people need to be like, why are we even making this?
American Psycho scares me because the original is such like a breakdown of toxic masculinity, and I feel like if that's not done correctly, that can easily get lost and you're just making a movie about a horrible person.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I think good that he warned them. It was like, okay, whatever you want to do.
I also wanted to shout out, I would love to see more horror movies, like these classic Universal or not, be adapted in different time periods.
Mm-hmm.
I think I super loved the idea of doing that here, and like the setting I think really helps this movie have such a unique style. It reminds me of The Invisible Man being directed in modern day, and kind of it still translates really well, but still feels so unique. I would love if they, like, imagine, like, a noir Dracula. We're not gonna, like, if Wolfman had anything to do with being set in the modern day, that movie could have been set in any time period and still been as bad as it was. But, like, gosh, I think that's, like, a niche thing that I might actually really adore. Yeah, let's keep doing it, people.
And it makes me think of, I want to shout out Your Monster with Melissa Barrera, because she dresses up as the bride in that film and looks so great.
She looks so good. I forgot about that.
Just cast her again for real this time as the bride, please. She looked so, say what you want about the movie, I loved that movie. She looked great, and there's no denying that.
Absolutely.
In that movie.
And then next up, I wanted to ask real quickly, Maggie Gyllenhaal. This is her second big movie. I think we're in agreement that there's a lot of growth to be done. I will say, as your second outing.
Well, and who knows?
But I haven't seen the first, so some people I think are suggesting this is a bit of a drawback.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, who knows, like, she is the director, so she should have her hands on a lot of this project, but it went through a lot of reshoots and edits. Who knows how much of that might have slipped through her fingers. We've seen that plenty of times before where a director has a vision for a project and other things get in the way. I think about the Marvels. Yeah. So I just don't know. I'm not gonna, just totally blame it on her, because I mean, in the press one, the way she talked about this film suggested to me that she had a lot of great ideas. So I do wonder how much of it fell apart, not because of her. So,
yeah, I will say I think she can make a great pitch. I think I really want to see, what was her first film?
The Lost Daughter.
The Lost Daughter. That's gonna be high on my watch list. But I'm very excited to see another film from her. Especially as someone who liked this, I think, more than most people. I would love if she was able to get a project she was maybe able to keep closer hands on. Because this was a big movie, I think, for Warner Brothers. I mean, it's a Universal monster movie. I think that is... No? It's an adaptation of those, which I think are a big name. So I could see studio interference possibly being the reason for so many reshoots. I hope she can find another project where she can really take ownership of it.
Yeah.
But, okay, I think that's going to wrap up our thoughts on The Bride. If you have seen it, please, what are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Switching gears almost completely over to Bridgerton Season 4.
Dearest gentle listeners.
Dearest gentle viewers. So,
we did already talk about this a little bit in our February recap. So we have some thoughts on it there. If you haven't seen it yet, that's probably a much more spoiler-free talk. But I do want to talk some spoilery stuff here.
Absolutely.
And about the future of Bridgerton, what the upcoming seasons might look like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Real quick, I figured we could start. We did this in the February recap, but as it is in the episode, I think it's very worth quickly going through our ranking of the Bridgerton seasons.
Yeah. I actually kind of forgot my ranking.
I think I remember your ranking because there was one change from mine. So mine, starting from the bottom, I have season 1, season 3, season 4, season 2, and then the one season of Queen Charlotte.
I have seasons
and you
2 and 4
switched
switched.
2 and 4.
Yes. Okay. I'm good with that. Yeah. And more stuff is coming out about season 5, Eloise's story, or at least so we think.
Okay. We don't know yet, though.
We don't know. It is not confirmed. Officially with the official page. There's a lot of hints toward, and that's how the books follow it, but they've changed it before, so we never know. But I'm hearing whispers that if it is her season, if that is to be believed, it's apparently going to be a marriage of convenience, which is fun because she marries. Do you want to know who she marries?
I knew this one was going to be a Cinderella story, so sure.
Okay. So she marries, I don't even know if you're going to remember him, Philip, who Marina Thompson from the first season, she goes to live with him. He takes her in because it was like his brother or cousin or something that got her pregnant.
Dang.
Do you remember him,
Vaguely.
kind of? Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of like, what the heck? Where does this come from?
That feels so random.
Yeah. So I haven't read the books yet. I'm in the middle of reading the first one, so I will eventually read her story. But yeah, it does seem very bizarre, which is why a lot of people thought she was gonna marry Theo because they were like, "This makes more sense," and then that was totally. There's no way at this point. From my understanding, she at some point writes him a lot of letters. And I don't know how she really ever starts meeting him or interacting with him, but like her book title is called To Sir Philip with Love, because she writes him a lot of letters. And then, do I want to spoil this? Let's just say, I don't want to spoil this.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil this for our audience. But they do interact at some point, and she meets, like, the kid or kids, that are on his place as well, and they pull a lot of pranks together, and apparently they're a very cute couple. I don't know how they get together in the books, but that's what I'm hearing whispers of, is that they're gonna have a marriage of convenience, which I think for this version of Eloise, makes more sense. You know, Philip could be somebody, he already has kids, so she wouldn't have societal pressure from him or society, whatever, to
have more.
To have any sort of intercourse, to have kids. And then him in the books, if he's not really into her either, but then maybe just wants someone to help him raise the kids. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I don't really know. I don't know what on his side, what his perspective would be, but I know for her, I think that would actually make a lot of sense. And then, you know, you find love there. I think that would be kind of perfect for her. So I'm getting ahead of myself with already talking about the future of Bridgerton, but I just wanted to talk about that since that's been on social media lately, whispers of that. So fingers crossed they confirm some of those things soon. At least that it's going to be her season.
So I wanted to start out with a couple of questions for you.
Okay. About season 4.
We're
season back.
4.
We're rewinding.
So, of season 4, what was your favorite plotline?
This is fun because obviously they focus on the main couple a lot more. And I actually think out of all the seasons, they do the best job at like having a lot of storylines that are interesting and have to do somewhat or will have something to do with the main couple. I think more so than any other season, they do that really well. I think of season 2, how much I loved Kate and Anthony, but hated so many of the subplots. Like, the Featheringtons, I'm like, get them off my screen. I want Kate and Anthony. And then, but this season they have the Mondricks, I believe.
Yes.
That's what they're called. They're great. They've always been great, but they really shine this season. They have the maid plotline with the maid wars. They have Francesca's whole thing. They have Eloise and Hyacinth. They have Hyacinth kind of has her own thing. Violet has her own thing. There's so much going on. I feel like overall the arc wise, I mean the main couple, it's a little unfair. Like, you gotta love the main couple. So the subplots, I would say easily Francesca's. I think Hannah Dodd, I believe her name is, who plays Francesca, like, she killed that role, and she's really coming into her own this season. I think last season she didn't have a lot to do. You know, I could understand that people called her boring, but this season I think there's no denying she did a great job. I would even say she deserves an Emmy nom for that. I hope they can get one for her. There has not been a lot of acting Emmy nominations from Bridgerton, but I think that is so deserved here. And then if nothing else, hopefully she'll get another one when her season comes along. So, everything with that, because you also have Michaela, and she's in that storyline. You have them trying to have children. She's trying to figure out, like, her own pleasure, but also who she wants to be as, like, the wife role or whatever. The expectations there. Then there's stuff with Michaela. There's conflict there, but then they become friends. But then there's, you know, a little chemistry there. Yeah, I loved that.
No, I also put the Francesca and John and Michaela plotline.
Yeah.
I do love the main couple.
Yeah.
Gosh, I will say there are things that Sophie, like, just doesn't question.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's also too stubborn for too long. And I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
Snap out of it.
I mean, I get it, and I appreciate that they do very clearly remind us, like, why she's being stubborn. I think it helps. Like, she has a really good reason, because she's literally kind of reliving her mom's experience, and she saw how that went, and it was not good. Now we know Benedict would be a better person and handle that better.
Except for that cliffhanger.
Well, yes, that's true. But she doesn't know that, and she has every reason to be afraid of that and doubt that. But it is kind of frustrating. It does go back and forth quite a lot, where they get together, but then she's like, no, and then they get together and they're like, yeah, and then she's like, no.
For me, it's not even those parts of, like, the moving back and forth. I think that's super valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's whenever she, like, blindly trusts the bad people and then doesn't think she can rely on the good people in her life who have, like, already done so much for her.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we gotta look at who you're trusting with their words or not. Yeah.
It's a little crazy the amount of times the Bridgertons, especially Violet, helped her out, and the amount of times she didn't ask Violet for help. I'm like, it's so clearly established at this point that Violet is on your side and will help you. I think especially when she was put in jail and didn't call for them, I think that was bizarre. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Even with all the insecurities and fears and everything, I'm like, at this point, I do not believe that you would not trust them enough. I don't buy that.
What do you have to lose here?
Yeah.
They're not going to lose anything.
Well, yeah, worst case scenario, they don't help you, and you're in the same position you were. I'm like, there's just, I think, no excuse for that. But, it worked out anyways. They found out, and they helped her anyways. So at least it worked out. No thanks to Sophie. She didn't do herself any favors. Like, girl.
Why won't you let me die? You already touched on this, but my next question was favorite performance. I
And a
also
dog.
put Francesca.
Absolutely.
So any
Mm-hmm.
honorary shout-outs? I think Violet's an honorary for me.
She's always great. I think she's very underrated. I said after this that I still want her prequel season with her and Edmund.
Mhm.
That would kill me, especially if that, because they haven't said that's happening. So at this point, if it is Eloise's season and then Francesca's, it would probably fall in between there. So having that one and Francesca's back to back might kill me. But you know what? I'll find a way to get through it because I want it so bad. So we'll see. But yeah.
Violet's certainly up there for me. I would also say Danbury. Great every season. I think
Her
she was
and Queen
particularly really
Charlotte,
great
but
here.
yes, I agree that she had her shining moment there. That scene where they just looked at each other and had that understanding in a silent conversation was phenomenal. Everyone does good work here, but there are definitely some shining stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, my next question. Favorite song drop?
Ooh. Either 360 because Hyacinth's actor actually got to pick that song,
Oh,
which I
that's
love
awesome.
that. That adds to the love of
And
that
it was
pick.
her ball.
Mm-hmm.
Or her
Or
recital.
maybe Never Be the Same. Right? Wasn't that
Never
on
Be
there?
the Same as my pick.
Yes.
In the bath scene? Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. Bad Idea Right was a very fun drop. And then All I Wanted Was You by Paramore was fun. I think this season was my favorite for the song drops.
That's some really great ones.
Absolutely. I don't think there was like a single one where I was like, Anyways. Although I don't know if there ever has been, so.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Favorite scene or some of your favorite scenes?
I loved after John dies, the conversation between Francesca and Michaela. First of all, they looked so pretty. They looked so pretty this entire season, let's be real. But they just acted their butts off in that scene. Like, I love them. I'm so excited for their season. Well, I don't know if I'm excited for them to get to the happy part of their story. And then I actually really liked Eloise's storyline this season with her and Hyacinth. It was frustrating because it did get to a point where it's like you don't have to want what society expects you to want, but you don't have to be disgusted by it to the point where you're hating on your younger siblings' happiness of it. I get it to a point because if this is like what you've been raised for and this is like you've always hated it, I can't imagine the disgust you would form of it. But I will say it was okay because she very quickly realized
I
that she
love
went
that.
too far
Like the
with
scene
it.
whenever Hyacinth is trying to like give it all up. I love Eloise's performance of like realizing that she had gone too far with it.
Yeah.
And I love her attempts to course correct, and then when it did course correct,
Yeah.
I thought that was so sweet.
And then I also loved at the funeral where Eloise realizes Francesca's kind of spiraling and then distracts her with the biscuits. That's just such a beautiful sibling scene.
Ugh, whenever the show emphasizes the siblingness of it all, I think it's so sweet.
Whenever Bridgerton focuses on the entire Bridgerton family, it's at its peak. And also, Reggae, I don't know how to say it, Gene Page, I think is his full name, the guy who played Simon, has been posting about Bridgerton and following new people. So I'm like, sir, are you coming back? Please come back. And then bring Phoebe back too, please.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see.
The one I had listed, if I might just throw that out real
Yeah.
quick. I loved Benedict's coming out scene to Sophie.
Yes.
I was really curious how they were going to play with that.
Yeah. So a lot of people were afraid they were going to forget about it.
Yeah, and there's just been certain stuff, like I think of how I felt about the Corinthian in Sandman, where he was brought back, and then where before we only ever saw him flirting with men, we'd only ever see him flirting with the one with what was her name? Constantine.
Yes.
Which, you know, if he's bisexual,
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels very weird that that was never brought up beforehand, and now we're going one extreme to another extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And that relationship never really addressed that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Love the way that was brought up here.
Yeah.
Basically perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sophie's response that no one should ever have to apologize for love. Stitch that on a sweater. Gosh, I thought that was just beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, any other scenes? Obviously the bathtub scene I think is great.
Never be the same indeed.
That was just great. And then gosh, Hyacinth's ball.
Oh, and the mask ball.
The
Great
masquerade
way to
ball,
start.
yes. Okay, now I have to think about earlier stuff. When Violet finally gets her garden taken care of, or whatever they use in that scene. I also really find it actually kind of, the more I think about it, really funny that she's like, wanna be fuck buddies? Like, basically, she's like, hey, friends with benefits? And he's like, no. Fair enough. You don't have to want that. But I think it's really funny that Violet asked. I hope she finds her friends with benefits buddy.
I have to believe that he'll come back. They just have so much chemistry.
Yeah. Although somebody pointed out that I don't remember, either Hyacinth or Gregory ends up with, I think, Lady Danbury's grandson or granddaughter, one of the two, I don't remember. Grandchild. So it might have been weird to see like Violet and, what is his name? I forgot his name.
I wrote his name down so we wouldn't forget it. Lord Anderson. Marcus Anderson.
Yes, Marcus. If they were together, and then her child and Lady Danbury's child, because technically I guess they're like related. I don't know, man. I'm like, isn't that weird in that time period?
Not
I'm
really.
like, not really. Plus it's not like they're gonna have any children, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. So maybe they'll come back around, but I'm excited wherever they take her. Ooh, let's talk about the scene where Penelope is ready to put Lady Whistledown away and sees her younger self in the mirror. I loved that. And then now there's a new Lady Danbury. Nope, Lady Whistledown.
Lady
Have I
Whistledown.
said Lady? Anyways,
Although there arguably is a new Lady Danbury in town.
Yes, and
Monmouth.
yeah, and people are theorizing that the theories I've heard, Hyacinth, I think that was ours as well.
Yes,
our
that was
theory.
my immediate prediction.
Yes. Lady Mondrick.
I think another great choice.
Could be potentially Penelope, just like her way of being anonymous again. I don't think that's likely.
I think that's also kind of lazy.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I think people are saying the reason is because, well, she looked shocked, and then Colin wouldn't know. I think if they're going with that, like, that's just gonna be a cover up. Like, she, whatever. I don't think they're gonna go with that though. And then I've seen Violet, actually. I've seen her as a theory. That's her thing in her new Independence.
Oh, because that is why I was thinking it was Hyacinth. That fascinating.
Maybe. I'm like, okay, we'll see.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of crazy.
I have a question. What are your favorite newly introduced characters?
And there are plenty. I think Sophie, is a very easy one. I think that she's definitely up there as one of the best.
Oh my god, wait.
Of interest.
For the scenes, I forgot to mention the entire cottage scene.
Our cottage. My
the
cottage.
entire episode.
No, oh my
anytime
gosh,
they were
when he
there.
handed her the letter and changed it to our cottage. Gosh.
And then I appreciate, apparently, when Benedict finds out she is the Lady in Silver, he gets mad at her in the books. That's lame. I love how that was handled in the show.
Absolutely.
But new characters, I brought that up specifically because I'm thinking of Alfie.
Alfie is an iconic
So
new
cute.
addition.
Anyways, I feel like we're both like suckers for characters with like big ears. I think of like Joe Locke. I'm a fan of the Peter Pan from Once Upon a Time.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I'm also a fan of Klaus Michelson from Vampire Diaries and the Originals. Nah, I know you're not. But anyways.
Oh my gosh.
Who else?
The actor from Challengers.
Josh O'Connor.
Mike Fast as well.
Yes.
They're both pretty big eared.
Yeah, and a lot of them tend to have curly hair as well, which is funny. So, there you
It's
go.
not lost on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michaela was No, she was introduced last.
She
at the
was,
very
but she.
end.
I mean,
she was a
had
character
lot.
here for
Yes.
the first time.
Yes,
And I think
was
she
funny.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Posey I thought was fun.
Yes,
I think a
love
really good
Posey.
balance of really sweethearted and a little airheaded.
Yeah,
but I think it makes her very fun.
because she's supposed to be Anastasia. I would love if her love story was a subplot next season. That would be a fun one. Yeah, there's a lot to come.
Absolutely.
So.
I did have one last question. Any least favorite scenes of this season?
I mean, the Be My Mistress scene. Like, come on.
Ooh.
He ruined that scene.
I would say I think that that was led up to really well. Like, I think the scene itself,
Yeah.
it's
supposed
brutal to watch.
Yes, it's
but-
supposed to give you the ick. It is supposed to, and it does. So it's not a detriment to the show. I did not take off points for that because you were feeling what you were supposed to feel
Mhm.
in that moment.
For me, it's basically any scene with Armente in part 2.
Armenta?
Armenta.
I don't know.
Armenta. Lady Gunn.
No,
What?
she's not. I don't even remember. Sophie had like so many different last names in this show. It's crazy. But because Sophie Gunn was like her cover-up name before she became a Bridgerton, so she wasn't ever actually. It's like they were trying to say she's related to the Lord Gunn or whatever he was.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, it was fun to see that she was the lady from Harry Potter.
I mean, I love that she's still working, and
Mhm.
aesthetically, she looked amazing.
Great.
And I think in part 1, she gave like the perfect amount, but then it just like continued into like her just being an asshole when she didn't need to, and I'm just like, kind of
Yeah.
hate that we're using this person
Well-
of color to do this so much.
Well, it's not lost on me, to be fair, that you also are not a huge fan of the original Cinderella.
Oh, but I love Lady Tremaine in it.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
My disappointment with the original Disney Cinderella is that so much of its runtime has nothing to do with the fact that you're watching Cinderella.
I love the original Cinderella, so I can't comment on that. Yeah, I don't have a problem with Armenta, so oh well, whatever.
I don't know. I said it in the February recap, but my biggest problem is just that in a show that has so much nuance to like every character, including the ones who are supposed to be antagonists, it just is so jarring to see a character with a complete lack of nuance.
Mm-hmm.
And is so like, I'm the worst because we needed someone who was the worst to be here.
Mm-hmm. Cause yeah, that's fair. Cause I mean,
Sorry, you're poor.
Yeah. I also love apparently in the book that her dowry is already spent. I love that in the show that it's not. I don't know why. I just appreciate that. Yeah.
You love that she's not poor.
She wasn't gonna be poor anyway. She married a Bridgerton. She'll be just fine. Ooh, I love that they focus a lot more because Sophie is a maid for most of the show. They focus a lot more on
The servants.
yes,
I love getting
like
to see that
Footman
perspective.
John, but also the other lady.
Footman
No.
John, I'm so sorry.
Cause okay, anyways, He's married too. He's married to somebody that we know.
The actor or the character?
The actor.
Okay, I was going to say, because he was flirting it up with Hazel.
Yes, and I love Hazel.
Hazel's really fun.
I'll investigate this.
Okay, you do
Talk
that.
about other stuff.
Going further down the outline, if I could find it.
She's married to the Camp Rock lady, the evil mean lady, the young one, Tessa or whatever her name is.
I think so. That's funny.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
That's crazy. So obviously this season was leading with a Cinderella story. I think that went really well here. I think that there were enough twists and turns that I think it was really a great idea to adapt this.
Yeah. I love that it was the glove that was left behind. That's a great choice, especially for Bridgerton, since all the ladies wear gloves while they're unmarried. I keep thinking of more scenes. I love the scene where they sneak Sophie into the ball by cramming her in between Colin and Benedict.
No,
just,
and Violet's like...
So many children. Too many children.
Oh, gosh, there's so many children.
I love when she has the innocent act, too, at the court. She's like, I need Sophie to help me at my house, even though I have probably 100 other maids that could help.
To be fair, I also love the emphasis that the entire maid war started from the fact that she did the work of, 20 people.
Yeah.
You are that bitch.
Yeah, and I also appreciate the detail that they didn't make this overly obvious, but the Bridgertons didn't really run into the maid war problem because they pay them well.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I also love just because yes, Araminta was insufferable and annoying and making a huge deal out of freaking shoe clips. But I do love the fact that Violet and Benedict pointed that out. They're like, you're really they basically tried to call her poor because they were like, you're freaking out this much over missing shoe clips, as if you can't buy another.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. They must be worth a lot of money then. I just loved that entire. They were gagging
the court
her left
scene
to right.
was really good.
Yes. Yeah. I love Posey sneaking out.
Going out the window.
Yeah.
We jumped out a window.
I loved the Varley and Mrs. Featherington.
I did think that was really fun.
Yeah. They're almost I don't know. I'm like, do they have chemistry or do they just really fun friends? I love them. I don't know. I can see it going either way.
It's on the line aggressively, especially this season. I've never felt it before this season.
Yeah.
But it's pretty there this season.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Crazy. I kind of wish Lady Featherington... I missed the seasons where she had a lot to do, because, gosh, if she is just not a staple of this show.
She is. Even when she's, she's
insufferable.
Being insufferable, but she's just,
but...
really good at still being, iconic about it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Else. Yeah.
So much love to that actress. How do we feel about Benedict this season? I think man clearly had an arc.
Yeah, I think he's always been a cutie. I think it's funny that he didn't get a glow up because he was already hot. I love that they're keeping
because he was perfect.
Yes, I love that they're keeping his art around, and that was actually very heavily talked about throughout this season. Obviously, with all the drawings he did and paintings, the painting at the end. I love the wedding scene. Yeah, I think he did great. I think for me, he's been one of the most steady actors.
Most consistent.
Yeah, the most consistent, which is not particularly good or bad. I think he's always done a good job, and he continues to do so here. The disadvantage of that is maybe perhaps he doesn't shine this season.
I would agree, because when we talked about standout performances, he wasn't one of them.
No.
But I do agree. I think it just stems from him having been so steady so much that when he comes in here, I think unlike some of the other siblings, he just was already on such a higher level.
Yeah.
That it just doesn't shine. I agree.
okay.
Yeah, I loved his search. Loved how committed that was. One of the biggest maybe cons to this season would be I don't think the show did great work to show how much time passed in that search.
Yes, I remember that being a big complaint. Yeah.
Because it's just kind of like, oh, she's out over here now. And then we run into her, and it's like,
yeah,
odd. Could have been done a little better. When in doubt, do the calendar day dropping thing.
Yeah.
It's a classic for a reason.
They tried, like, obviously we knew time had passed with the sun thingy, but, like, that's not clear enough. That could be 2 days, and apparently it was 2 years, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think it was 2 years. This feels like it's all ones.
I don't know. In
It's
the
very
books, it's like a 2-year time jump, I think. But then I still don't know how much time passed in the show. So, yeah.
But either way, he's very romantic. I think he's always been very romantic. And I think him settling down worked really well here. And I really loved the way he was so first after this mystery woman, and then he kind of pivoted. I loved that so much. And I really loved his scenes with Violet. I especially loved his line of, what would you do if Edmund was a servant? And then her coming back and having an amazing scene there. Your Honor.
I think that's great.
Love them.
I also find it really funny that Anthony had a whole scene basically threatening Benedict, saying, you will be cut from this family if you keep pursuing her. Him gagging her with the, you were also with that opera lady for a while? Like, that's different. And he's like, is it? And I'm like, is it? Was it?
No, that's also up there as one of the worser scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people liked it. I think Jonathan Bailey did a good job.
I think the script is where I'm like, I see what you're trying to get at. I feel like there's smarter ways for him to come into this conversation.
Well, and the lack of his screen time, I think, just made it jarring. I'm like, basically the one scene he's in, he's being mean to his brother. I don't like that. I don't prefer that. I think maybe you could have led up to that more if you were willing to have him in the season longer. Or more, whatever. And then, but I do find it really funny how we go from that to the next time we see him really is at the wedding, supporting him.
He's like,
I'm like, okay.
Well,
they're getting married. I guess I can't do anything. I do find that a little funny.
Indeed. Sophie. We talked a lot about Sophie so far. She's like kind of the main character. I think I love the performance. The performance, I think, is very strong. The costuming, like especially when she's in a dress, eats a dress. I think she adds such. I think she really adds a lot of depth to the romance of like the, I shouldn't trust you, but Benedict.
Yeah.
I credit her with. Obviously, it's both of them, but she adds a lot to that dynamic and a lot of complexity to that relationship.
Yeah.
But Sophie, you gotta get your trusting in order.
Yeah.
Like, gotta work on that list of believe what they say or don't believe what they say a little better. Now that she is married, now that both of them are married, what do you think? Or what would you expect / what would you want from their presence in this show going forward?
Well, that's, they have an effect on Eloise's story. I don't know a crazy ton about that, but I do know at some point, Eloise in the book says, like, she thinks about Benedict and Sophie's love story a lot, and that's one of the reasons she, has been so hesitant to get married, because she wants a love like that. Now, I don't know if that would work for show Eloise, but I don't know. I still want them to be involved, and I know there's a scene where, for some reason, Anthony's mad at his siblings, says everybody needs to shut up, and then he says, but not you, Sophie, and I I love little things like that.
That's a great line.
Yeah. I don't know what the context is of that. I don't even for sure know if that's in Eloise's book. And she says, "Happy to be the exception," and I love that. And then it's interesting because in the book, they're more still outcasted from society. From as far as we know, at the end, society overall believes their lie, because the queen does, and or goes with it at least, even if she doesn't believe it. So as far as we know in the show, they seem to be in the clear, but maybe next season we'll find out they're not so much in the clear as they thought. Like, people are starting to doubt.
There's a whistle down now that could be outside of the family.
Because in the book, they are still kind of outcasted from society a little bit, and have to stay at the cottage quite a lot. But I'm wondering if maybe that's why they're connected. I wonder if Eloise ends up going there at some point for sanctuary and advice. I don't know, but I'm excited. I hope they are still involved. It's interesting because Benedict is one of, I believe, 4 characters that has been in every episode so far. Him, Hyacinth, I think Violet, and the Queen, maybe. Everyone else has not been in at least one of the episodes. So that'll be interesting to start getting less of him, potentially. So it's disappointing. I know. I'm like, Benedict, I actually didn't realize you were such a big part of the show this whole time. So,
next up, Lady Armente Gunn and her daughters Rosamund and Posey. Talked a little bit about them. Any other thoughts to add?
Not really. I saw somebody on social media post that what was the other sister's name?
Rosamund?
The mean one, the one that's supposed to be Gisela. Somebody noticed that I think Lady Mondrick was walking over. Somebody was walking over a female, and she kind of like gave her like a maybe like suggestive look or something like that. Like a "ooh, you look good" or whatever. So I'm like, is there something there potentially?
Interesting.
Not if it's Lady Mondrick, but like, you know, exploring something like that. I don't know.
I will say, if we never saw Rosamund again, even though I think that actress, I think she plays that role really well. I don't think she ever goes too far, like I would argue the script does with her mother. She's like spiteful the perfect amount where she never does it in a way that inconveniences herself.
I want to see
I would love to
Posey.
see Posey
Yes.
more. And Rosamund, if you're there, whatever.
Yeah, I don't really care if we ever see Rosamund or Araminta again. I want to see Posey again. Rosamund, I'm open to, especially if they maybe go down the route that some people are like, maybe. But we'll just see. And then Cressida. We haven't talked about Cressida yet. There's not really a whole lot to talk about with her.
I did love her. Well, she did host a ball.
Yeah, and the ball was pretty.
The ball was great, and that was where we learned that Penn was stepping down as Whistledown.
Yep. She overshadowed the ball.
Queen.
Period.
And then Cressida wanted her to overshadow the ball, so
Yeah.
that was very cute.
It works. Yeah.
I'm also very happy for Cressida.
Yeah.
Obviously she did some stuff that was not cool in
For
her
sure.
season 3.
Honestly, all of them, but yeah season 3.
But that being said, I think season 3 did a great job of showing that she was
so incredibly
such
desperate.
a victim of her circumstance as well. So it didn't excuse what she had done, but she was doing what she was doing out of self-preservation, which I gotta respect.
Yeah.
To an extent. But I'm happy that she's back. I think she could pop up every now and then and be a fun little character.
Yeah.
But she doesn't need to be. She's in I think the perfect sweet spot for her.
Yeah, I agree.
Maid Wars you talked about, Danbury and the Queen. Oh my gosh. And this whole arc is made perfect because of the Queen Charlotte show.
And
Absolutely.
Would not have been the same without that.
Absolutely. And the way that like, so much goes unspoken between these two because of what we, the audience, have seen in that show. And I think it translates just so perfectly. Oh my gosh. I love the Queen. If we really do have to say goodbye to Dansbury, I hope she at least pops in every now and then. Because, like I've said before, she's such a pillar of this show.
Yeah.
Like, we had our friend Shadows watch it with us just for season 4, part 1. And Danbury was the name he remembered aggressively. And I don't think that's...
What an icon.
Like, that's, like, the person you remember, kind of.
I mean, who knows the time skip that may or may not happen at the beginning of season 5. Maybe she comes back. Maybe she's had her time and comes back. I mean, maybe she won't be gone for as long as we think. I mean, especially if her grandson is going to be one of the Bridgerton's love interests, then I feel like she kind of, I would think, has to come back for that. But this show's been a little weird with bringing back characters, so I'm so hungry right now.
But yeah, I think Mondrich could easily kind of fill her role and make it her own.
Yeah.
Which I think is very exciting. I was questioning if she could fill that, but I think the finale did a really great job of showing that she can fill that role and, you know, make it not just Danbury again.
Absolutely. And then I know people have discussed, because we knew that there was going to be a funeral based off of trailers and photos, because everyone was dressed in black. But we didn't totally know whose. Most people thought it was going to be John's. But some people had theorized, I just wanted to address it, that it would be the Queen, because technically, I think timeline-wise, we are getting close to where she dies in real life. However, I've seen something that apparently the showrunners said they don't have any plans of ever killing her off from the show.
And I could not blame them.
And I don't blame them, and also this is, I mean, they're not trying to be historically accurate, so really, who cares?
Are you telling me they didn't play Charlie XCX's 360
What?
back then?
They were missing out. So, no. I hope that that's true, and that they have no plans of ever killing her off on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they need to, and I don't think they should.
I think the show will suffer if they do.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing with Danbury where I can understand an actress being kind of like, you know, if you're getting up there and either you're tired of doing this or you're, like, concerned about doing this, I think, obviously, do what's best for you. Look at the show. There's much worse ways to not be returning to the show. Looking at Daphne. Oh, my God. But how can you replace the Queen?
No. I don't think you can. I don't think you should. I think you've not tried to be super historically accurate, and so why start there? Yeah. Of all places, you know?
Some of the other notes, we have not touched a lot on Francesca, John, and Michaela. I do think that actress for Francesca has stepped up so much since last season. And I think I'm so happy for her. I'm so excited for her to continue to grow with this character into her own season when that comes around.
Yeah.
John, like, her and John's relationship went from, like, something super boring and simple to me to something that added a lot more depth to it.
Yeah.
And I super appreciated that. They also followed something I think similar to what Daphne went through in her season. I think it easily could have felt similar, but they managed to make it feel very original.
Yeah.
And then Michaela coming in and them always having some kind of dynamic to have to address. Francesca's cry whenever John passed away, I think is so memorable.
Yeah. I also really like her and Violet's conversation, because Violet does, in that moment, think she understands Francesca, and she doesn't. And I agree with that. I don't think she does. I mean, she understands grief, but in that society, when there's so much pressure to have children and pass on a legacy, when you don't do that, like, I understand not only that being something you don't have to remember them by, but also if you might feel like a failure, which of course it's probably not her fault that she couldn't conceive. It was probably John because of whatever he had that caused him to die from taking a nap. But she doesn't know that, and probably society always blames it on women, I would guess. So I love that line that she says to her. I love the way she delivers it. I love that entire
Francesca's
scene.
whole like grieving process was, I think, so well done.
Yeah.
The ability of not like letting herself grieve
Mhm.
and then thinking that there was a chance that she did things quote unquote right
Yeah.
by John, and then finding out that she wasn't pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Michaela coming in kind of to remind her to, you know, with John's
Grieve, but
death,
also celebrate.
you can grieve
life.
and also celebrate them and recognize that they were a person
Who
I don't
would
know.
want people to be happy even
Yeah.
after they died. Yeah, I totally agree. I love that scene. I love them having both, like, the funeral, but then also the celebration. I love the dance. They're dancing in that scene, how they were teaching everyone how to do it.
Oh, and I love the toast scene whenever everyone kept adding something in about
Yeah.
John. I thought that was so sweet.
Mm-hmm. And then I actually, obviously it's sad because it's supposed to be sad that Michaela leaves after promising not to leave, but I think that's just gonna add so much to when they finally reunite, and you know they're gonna have some big argument about that, like, you left me, like, you just know it's gonna lead to that, and that's gonna be like, they're gonna kill that scene.
And that's the thing. It feels like so much
So-
momentum has moved on Francesca that I think it's going to be weird if she's not the next person to have a season.
Well, here's my thing: is there's supposed to be a time jump because the whole point is that Michaela is supposed to be gone and have left her for years.
Interesting. So what's
So-
Francesca doing during Eloisa's story? Do we know?
I'm not really sure, but I do think it is important. You know, someone pointed out that Francesca's storyline progressed a lot this season, but Eloise is she's had little arcs, but she hasn't really gone anywhere in a big way.
It feels definitely not this season. Like,
So it's
her
like-
and Hyacinth were very insulated this season.
Yes. So it's like, I agree that not only are they next in the book series, but it feels like they kind of need to have her next because she's at a point where she's not really doing anything. So I don't know. And then you can have that time where you really have to feel Francesca be alone again, before you get to the point where she reunites with Michaela and then that entire storyline starts. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of feeling that absence, like she would in real life. So, or in that story life, whatever. I don't know. I will say, especially after hearing Marriage of Convenience, I'm like, I'd be disappointed at this point if it wasn't her. Because I love a good Marriage of Convenience. So.
Okay. And then Daphne not being here, so weird.
Very, 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 very weird. I agree. Especially when the actress wanted to come back, so there's really no reason she's not here.
Like, at least for the wedding and the funeral. Like, weddings and funerals are, like, the two things that, like, you see your family on for.
Yeah.
In Bridgerton,
Absolutely.
they make such an emphasis to show how close this family is.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense from a narrative perspective. So I just, I don't understand that. And it's not like the actress has done a whole lot, so it's not like she, you know, I can't imagine it'd be like a money thing, because I don't think she's in a position to ask for a lot of money, and I don't think that's the problem, because she wants to come back, so I think she would make it work. I think it's absolutely the writers and the showrunners' fault, which is a shame.
It's very bizarre. Gosh, bring her back. Make things normal. You're weird, writers. Anyways, looking into season 5, so you're wanting it to be an Eloise season.
Definitely. And I ultimately think it will, because I think enough people have hinted at it.
Okay.
Even in the wedding scene, they said, somebody, I think Kate asks, okay, so who's next? Eloise is the first person to talk. So, I'm like, I don't know if that. Interviews, they're like.
I'm very excited.
You know.
I love Eloise.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's such a great character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to see her up in center.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has been a hot second since she has been.
Yeah.
So, come on, Queen.
And Phillips, from what I hear, is a great guy, and I'm very excited for that. And then they play a lot of pranks. Like Eloise, she's apparently like a very like fun stepmom figure in the books, because I don't think they're married, so it like happens before they're married, so it's not stepmom. But I guess if marriage of convenience is true, she has a lot of fun with the kids. She plays a lot of pranks on them. They play a lot of pranks on her. They do a lot of pranks towards Philip, and I think that's very fun. I think we're missing a little bit of a fun element from Eloise. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that just makes a lot of sense for her, if she finds a way to get her freedom without having to actually like be with someone properly, but then finding love along the way. I'm gonna eat that up. And I also love that I feel like if it is her season, we know the least about it. So that just excites me. I'm like, I want to see what they do with it.
Dude.
So, yeah. I'm also excited. We've had 3 seasons in a row with a Bridgerton male lead, so I'm excited to get 3 in a row of female lead. So, let's have the ladies. And then we are for sure getting seasons 5 and 6. So no matter the order, we're getting Eloise and Francesca's story. Hopefully, we can finish it out with 7 and 8 with Hyacinth and Gregory. But I guess technically that's not confirmed yet.
And yeah, we'll see.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's going to bring our Bridgerton conversation to a close.
Yes.
Let us know, what were your thoughts on Bridgerton Season 4, which you can now watch on Netflix right now. Please let us know in the comments below. And until next time, I'm your host, Luke.
And I'm your host, Alicia.
And thank you so much for watching Not So Straight Nerds.
Bye.